earlier this week, I was listening to an interview, and shout out to one of our viewers, our listeners. I can't even tell you who it was. They sent it to me on via DM, but I would love to give them their proper dues. But they sent this and they said, I would love to hear you and Lonzo discuss this. And the title was basically in a nutshell, the real history of West Coast hip hop. And it was a Be Real from Cypress Hill, legend in the game, has a great podcast called the Dr. Green Thumb Show. His guests were KRS-One, King T, Disco Daddy, and Egyptian Lover.
Egyptian Lover, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm listening, right? 3-hour interview. And I rarely listen to anything more than 10, 15 minutes. You're lucky. But if it's about hip hop and West Coast, something I'm specifically loving, involved in, I most likely will listen to the whole thing. So I'm painting my studio, as you guys can see. You know, I'm painting my studio. I'm listening to it. And I'm like, all right, an hour into it, I'm like, all right, they haven't mentioned Alonzo Williams' name once. Okay, 2 hours into it, they haven't mentioned his name once. So I shoot you a text, and I'm hearing stories, you know, that we talked about specifically on our channel. And I would just like to kind of talk about a few things that I heard on that podcast, which is, once again, a great podcast, but there's what they say, his truth, and then the whole truth, or whatever. So we're going to talk about Lonzo's perspective, but you know, your name wasn't mentioned for 3 hours, a 3-hour documentary, Lonzo. Let's start with that, because I say blasphemy when I hear that, but when you hear us podcast that's 3 hours long, that's a long time, about a topic that you were heavily involved in, and you're not mentioned. What do you think?
They can't talk about me because they don't know nothing about me. You got to understand, man. You got to understand this, okay? I'm older than Egypt is. Egypt, when I started doing my thing at 19, I'm 6 years older than Egypt. So that makes Egypt, if I'm 6, that makes him 13 when I'm doing my thing at Alpine. Egypt was not a part of that. Egypt came into the game in the 80s, okay? He said he was in the game in the 70s. He said in the interview, in 1977, he was doing mixtapes. Bro, you was 13. Who was doing mixtapes at 13 and cussing on them? And cussing, you ain't doing that. I don't give a damn, okay? One of the things he said that was I found really hilarious is that because he was cussing on his mixtapes and it was all over the school, that he thought somebody's dad or something was going sweating, and while he was on the bus, a man walked up to him out of the clear blue sky and said, "Are you an Egyptian lover?" And I thought it was somebody's dad who was going to get mad because I was cussing on the mixtape. And he says, "Yeah." He says, "Can you do what you do in my in a club?" He says, "Yeah. I'll pay you $1,000 to do the same thing in my club." And I'm thinking to myself, in 1977, $1,000 for a DJ ain't gonna happen. Second of all, why in the fuck would a man with $1,000 for a DJ be on the bus? Understand the scenario, understand the time, understand all the factors. Now, I know somebody, oh, man, you just hate. No. See, that's the problem we got with a lot of the folks that try to rewrite West Coast history, okay? First of all, you're too young to certain aspects of the game you can't speak on because you don't know nothing about it. You're making up shit as you go. You're kind of doing some Donald Trump shit. You're spitballing, trying to make something happen. 1977, me and Roger was doing Alpine Village. Okay, fresh out of 1977, me and Roger was doing Alpine Village. Egypt was not a part of that team. I'm still the number one DJ for Unique Dreams Entertainment, which eventually turned into Uncle Jam's Army, but they ain't around yet because they still in junior high school. Okay, to say Uncle Jam's Army was the cool herc of West Coast hip hop, again. You just talking out the side of your ass, because what did Uncle Jam's Army do? They got Egyptian Lover. They had Muffler, which I got a lot of respect for. Muffler produced LL Cool J, Run DMC, Houdini, a lot of stuff. Nothing but love for him, okay? and even Bobcat. But when it came to earth-changing, world-changing shit, when it came to the people that made the transition from the hip-hop, from the music, going from the dance promoters to the clubs, to hip-hop, to gangster rap, which everybody loves, to the motherfucking Super Bowl, ain't but one crew did that. Do I have to tell you who it was? Ain't but one crew did that. Ain't but one crew, ain't but one person, ain't but one label ever had an artist that brought out the World Series Super Bowl, the World Series championship in the 57 Chevy. I ain't got to tell you who it was. So when it comes to the person or the entity that had the biggest impact on the world, not just LA, LA, they may have won LA. I'm gonna give them that. But I take the world hands down. I've never been a hood nigga. I like going global. I want to see everything. My people, my folks, my discoveries have touched the globe in more ways than one. I ain't got to say a whole bunch more than that. Now, folks, nobody's been more consistent. Disco Daddy got nothing but love for him. He went to the service. He only had 2 records. Never owned a record label. Never discovered nobody else. He was a Soul Train dancer. More love to him. But Soul Train, that's a part of hip hop. I will give that a part of hip hop. But again, you got to either own some shit or give birth to something else to really claim that status. Okay, ain't nobody. I hate talking about I'm a humble son of a bitch. That's probably my biggest problem. I hate talking about myself, but it pisses me off when people try to take status that they don't deserve or try to apply status someplace that's not warranted. I'm not the West Coast hip hop. I'm not the West Coast Kool Herc. I'm the West Coast Lonzo. I'm a combination of Kool Herc, Don Cornelius, Barry Gordy, and a few other son of bitches I can't think of right now. I'm not just one dude. I'm not just one. I'm not a knockoff of one person. I'm a combination of several people. All these influences is what made me do what I do, allowed me to do what I'm doing, allowed me to still do what I'm doing. And I've been an artist, been fun, but I got other shit to do now. I get streets named after artists. I change. I'm in politics. I do shit like that. I'm not just still trying to be an artist that's 68 years old. I'm not doing that.